So the idea basically behind this is a bit of a marketing mastermind for electricians about how to grow your business with effective marketing strategies. And I wanted to start by telling you a little bit about my journey with marketing. So I've run 2 electrical businesses over the years. First of all, I ran my dad's business that I took over when he died. I ran that for a few years and then sold that business. And I tried and failed at quite a few things with marketing in that particular one. I remember one thing that I did back in the day which didn't work, which was somebody who said to me, yeah, what we'll do is we'll put your business cards in the entrance of B&Q. And so that basically anyone who, when people are buying light fittings and stuff like that, if they need somebody to install them, well, they'll see your business cards and they'll, hopefully get in touch with you to get you to fit their lights. And I thought this was a great idea. Handed over about 1,500 quid or something for them to put my business cards at the entrance of B&Q, and didn't get a single lead off of it. So there's a lot of stuff out there that you can do that sounds like a good idea, but actually doesn't work. And there's also stuff that's actually really cheap or free that works really, really well. So the idea of this kind of webinar is for me to share with you guys what has actually worked really well for me and what hasn't. With Artisan Electrics, I started on a different footing. So I started the YouTube channel, and obviously that's been our biggest source of leads over the years, but that has taken many, many years to build up to where it is today. So it's not the kind of thing you can just start overnight and get a ton of work from, but it's definitely a good thing to start with the idea that eventually it will pay off. And we'll talk about social media and other things like that later on in this webinar. Just for those of you who've just joined, welcome. It's a little bit different today. We're doing kind of webinar style, and then we're going to do a Q&A at the end, just because there's quite a lot of us in here, and I wanted it to be as valuable as possible for you guys. Yeah, feel free to just hold your questions to the end, and we'll spend at least 20 minutes at the end just going through those. Now, before we start about specific techniques of marketing, it's really important that you understand the 3 core principles of marketing success, which are, number 1, you need to know who you're trying to reach. Like, there's no point in just advertising your services to anyone. So before you start any kind of marketing, you want to ask yourself, like, who is my ideal customer? Who am I trying to reach here? And what type of work am I trying to gain? Because you could end up advertising for stuff that you don't actually want. Like, maybe you hate doing rewires, but then you just advertise blanket and you start getting loads of rewires coming in. For us, for example, now we're really targeting marketing for the solar and battery side of things, because that is the most profitable and the nicest work. So we're not advertising for rewires or call outs or whatever it might be. But we also think about who is our target customer then. So, who is the kind of person that we want to work for? Where do they live? What kind of age are they? And then you build up like a sort of an avatar of who your ideal customer is in your head. And then that helps you to be able to target them. So, where do they live? Where do they shop? Where do they go online? How do they find out information? And that then enables you to target your marketing better so that you can reach the right people for the right services. So it takes a little bit of thought up front before you just plunge in. The other thing is you need to be able to test and measure your results, right? So, this is absolutely key, because if you don't do that, then you have no idea whether your marketing campaign has been effective or not. You could go by your gut and say, oh, I think it's done well, but how do you know? For example, leaflets, we'll talk about that later. Like, how do you know whether your leaflet campaign has worked well or not? Well, you need to know how many leads you got per 1,000 leaflets. And the only way to do that is whatever you do with your marketing, you need to have a way of testing and measuring it so that you can see the results and then figure out whether your return on investment was worth it or not, in terms of, how much money's worth of leads did you get versus how much you spent, or versus the effort that it took for you to do that marketing campaign. And then the other thing is this, right? It's all very well like doing a ton of marketing and then suddenly you get all these leads pouring in, but if you can't handle them properly, if your business systems are not set up to actually be able to take those calls, reply to those emails, deal with the inquiries, get the quotes out, then you're basically wasting your time and you're wasting your money, because customers do not want to phone up and get a voicemail or send an email that doesn't get responded to. So you need to make sure that you're set up at the sort of office end to be able to receive those leads, handle them quickly and smoothly, because otherwise, no matter how many customers you have, you'll lose a lot of them just because you're not responding quick enough or in the right way. So stuff like call handling services can be really good, just to make sure your phone is answered promptly and professionally every time, rather than you trying to answer it when you're crawling around in a loft or something. Emails, you need to have a system to handle your emails and to log leads onto some kind of job management system in order to be able to really keep track of everything. Otherwise, you can just end up like in a complete mess. So these are kind of the principles I wanted to share first, just to think about before you start with any campaign, to make sure you get the best out of it. Also, messaging is important, right? So you need to be clear about what you're offering. What message are you sending to customers? You need to be able to explain what you offer and how you're going to solve the customer's problems, and use relatable language and customer focused benefits. In other words, don't use sparky jargon, right? You need to speak to the customer in a way that they will understand. So simple, relatable language, and the customer focused benefits. Like, customers don't care what your van looks like. I know we're really proud of our vans and like, oh, they look great and they're all shiny and branded up. Customers don't care what your van looks like. They care about what benefit they're going to get from using your services. So the marketing should be focused on the customer, not necessarily on some of the things that you think are the best about your business, but doesn't really appeal to customers. So let's jump into social media. Little overview of what I would say is good in terms of social media. Instagram, amazing place to build up a digital portfolio of your work and create social proof, right? You can't, unless you're stealing pictures of other people's work, you can't fake pictures of your work, right? Even better, videos of your work. So just build up a digital portfolio of what you do. And it's great for you as well to be able to look back and see how far you've come, see some of the great projects you've done over the years. So just taking pictures of your work, it builds up social proof. Customers, when they're searching for you, they can find your Instagram page and see some of the work that you've done. With Facebook, I'll be honest, I'm not a massive fan of Facebook. We do stuff on Facebook, but we don't really get many customers from it. But I know that a lot of people do, and they kind of just go on there and engage with people who are looking for electricians. And, people share, oh, do you know an electrician? Yeah, I know so-and-so. And it's kind of almost a word of mouth thing, but online. So, can be good to have a Facebook page and keep an eye out on Facebook to see if people can start recommending you. LinkedIn, brilliant place to build a network with other businesses and get commercial leads, right? So LinkedIn is a business platform. It's B2B, it's not B2C. In other words, business to business, not business to customer. So if you want to get more commercial work, LinkedIn is a great place to build up your online reputation, engage with other business owners, and find a kind of exchange of value on that platform. Definitely worth looking into. Now, what about what to post? So some simple ideas for what to post you can do before and after. So a great rule is every job you do, take a picture before, take a picture after. Now, even if you're not going to post it on socials, that's a really good practice to do anyway. What can happen is a customer can question you afterwards and say, oh, that wasn't like that before or whatever, and you've got proof if you've taken before and after pictures. But then you can use those on your socials and show the impact and the solution that you've provided for the customer. Other things, problem solving. So you get called out to solve a problem for a customer, show how you've solved that problem, share it on your social media. Other things that you can do, testimonials and reviews. So if you get any reviews on any platforms, you can screenshot them, share them on your social media pages. And also what we do now, which is really powerful, is getting video testimonials from customers. So you get a happy customer, ask them, would they be happy to give you a video testimonial? And often they will. And it's just so powerful when future customers can hear from previous customers how fantastic they think you are. You can also showcase recent projects, but one of my favorites is this one, share your knowledge, right? So this is one of the things that really helped me to grow my business, is sharing my knowledge, which you might think is like you're going to shoot yourself in the foot. You share your knowledge and some people will steal your ideas. No, they won't. Like, just share your knowledge and customers will start to trust you. For example, FAQs. Every time you get a customer who asks a question, and maybe you get the same question multiple times from different customers, write those questions down. They are like gold dust because other people on the internet are also asking those questions. Then create a social media post answering that question. For example, one of our best viewed videos on YouTube it's over 1 million views now. 10 things you need to know before you get an electric vehicle charging point installed. And it's literally just answering the questions that people have and walking them through the step-by-step process of how to get an EV charger installed. And then overview of this, be consistent, right? So it's no good just posting every so often. You need to post regularly. So a good thing to do, take an hour a week, bulk create, so make multiple posts and then just schedule them. So, you can spend an hour a week, create content for a whole week, schedule it and save yourself time, and you just set it and forget it and it just goes out as you scheduled. So that's social media. What about paid ads? Now, this is a bit of a minefield because you can spend a ton of money on paid ads and get very little in return. But on the other hand, it can be absolutely fantastic. And many big businesses just do paid ads and they get 5-10 times what they're spending on ads back, and it works. So Google AdWords is one of the classic ones, which is where you basically, on Google, if you search, you can see those sponsored posts. They're kind of at the top. You're basically paying per click for those kind of adverts, and you end up competing against other people who it's like a bidding war essentially. So you can target specific keywords. You can target specific locations as well, which is really good. But it can be a bit of a money pit because you can end up competing with somebody else who's putting a really high pay-per-click on, and you can end up spending 10, 20, 30 pounds a click sometimes just for people who aren't actually going to end up as paid customers. So it's best to get someone who knows what they're doing to manage your campaign. I have had somebody managing my campaigns. I don't do many paid Google ads because we don't really need to because of YouTube, but we use it to get local work because YouTube brings too many customers from all over the place. So we spend maybe £1,000 a month just doing Google AdWords to get a bit more local work. We have somebody who manages the campaign. It took about 3 months to kind of really get going and ramp up. That's normal. And then you've just got to commit a monthly amount of ad spend. You've got to let them know, who you're trying to target, where they are, what keywords you want to look for. And if you get a good ad manager, then it can be quite an effective way of advertising. But again, you need to test and measure. So you need to be able to try and track them all the way through to your website and then to your lead management service or what your software is, so that you can see, like, I paid £2.50 for that click and that's resulted in a £2,000 job. Then you know that your ad spend is worth it, that you're getting that return on investment. Now, you can also do paid ads on social media. So you might see this thing where you can click boost to boost a post and you can stick 100 quid or 200 quid or £10, whatever you want, behind that post to boost it out to more people. And I know a lot of people who are just like, oh yeah, great, I'll boost my post. And they just chuck 100 quid or whatever, and it burns and they get nothing back in terms of customers. That's because you need to target correctly. So in other words, you need to set your target audience right. And you can do this really well on Facebook and Instagram because they know so much about people who are using their platforms. But you also need to craft the ad in the right way. In other words, it's no good just boosting on your normal posts because ads are different, right? These are going out to people who've never seen you before a lot of the time. And so it needs to be a proper advert. It's not just boosting a post that nobody will engage with and nobody will see. It needs to be crafted properly. So to do it properly takes budget and planning. And I'd say there's no point in boosting posts unless you kind of really invest some time into designing proper ads, figuring out who you're trying to target, and kind of really going down the rabbit hole properly with it. And again, you can get people to help you with this, but it's going to cost you at the end of the day. But it just depends on how much budget you've got for marketing and where you want to really aim your arrows in what direction. So that's paid ads. Now, what about traditional marketing methods? So we talked about this a little bit last week, like leaflets. Do they work? I have done a lot of leaflet campaigns over the years. We did it when I first kind of started Artisan Electrics. Then we did some more when we started to do solar and battery storage. Average return usually is about one in 1,000. So it's not a lot. In other words, you get one call or one contact for 1,000 leaflets. And to print and deliver 1,000 leaflets, it costs quite a lot. So you don't want to be using leaflets to target low cost services. You want to be using them to target higher cost services that will give you a better return on investment. Little tip, make sure you have both sides of the leaflet printed on. And the reason for that is when it goes through a letterbox, you don't know which way it's going to fall. If it falls with the blank side up, then what happens, right? You go through the psychological and physiological process that the customers go through. The leaflets come through the door, customer walks to the door, they look at the doormat and they just see what's there, right? And if your leaflet is there on the floor, you've got like 5 seconds while they reach down to pick it up to catch their attention. And if it's just a blank side, that's not going to catch their attention. And then you've got from when they walk from the door to the bin, for your leaflet to catch their attention, because that's what everyone does. Let's face it, they pick it up, they walk to the bin, they sift through it as they're walking to the bin, and anything that doesn't catch their attention or give them any kind of value, they just throw it straight in the bin. So double-sided leaflets are really important, and you need to design them properly so that they really catch people's attention. So little tips like a joke or something that's just a bit different. Like I did one once that it had a pattern that you could turn it into a paper aeroplane. So you could just fold it into a paper aeroplane and basically said, if you don't want this leaflet, at least you can have some fun with it, make a paper aeroplane before you throw it in the bin. And it just catches people's attention, bring a bit of humor, stand out in some way, and just that hook hopefully will increase this number, and maybe you get 3 or 4 in 1,000 instead of 1. Also, you need to be able to track the returns, because customer phones you. How do you know whether they've come from the leaflet or not? Now, the best way obviously is always ask customers. That should be your standard procedure. Oh, by the way, how did you find out about us? So that should be part of your standard script for every customer that you talk to. How did you find out about us? Then record it somewhere on your job management software or a spreadsheet or whatever it is, so that you've got a record. But for leaflets, for example, you could do something like you could have a trackable number on there. So you can actually see, so it's like a redivert number, and it will, you can track online how many calls have gone to that number. Or you could do something like an offer. So you could say free electrical check for everyone who contacts us using this leaflet. Quote the code leaflet 2024 when you phone. And then you know for sure that that customer came from that leaflet, and you've got a tracked way of following up on those things. Also, how do you know that your leaflet delivery guys are not just going to chuck them in the river or in a skip? You need a trusted delivery service that offers tracking. So any good delivery service now, they will have trackers on their delivery people, and you can actually see them delivering the leaflets live, so you know that your leaflets are actually being delivered and are not just ending up in a skip. As I say, it can be a bit of a money pit. Return on investment is generally very low, so it's not something I'm not going to be doing anymore, for example, but it's something that I've tried in the past and can be effective in certain situations. What about directories? Now, directories are those online websites like yell.com or Thompson Local, or there's tons of them. I mean, there's tons of free directories as well. And first of all, beware of any that are trying to get you to pay to be on there. So like yell.com is the worst. They go and do a massive hard sell. Like I've had yell.com people before basically convince me that they're going to get tons and tons of traffic going to my website. They quote all these statistics, and then they're like, yeah, we'll build your page. It's only going to be £2,000 or whatever. And again, it's just like a waste of money. Nobody goes to yell.com anymore. Like, when was the last time you went to yell.com to find a service or a product? Never. You just go on Google, right? So I would just avoid that like the plague. If there's free directories, generally there's no harm in getting on there, but just beware of paying to be on a directory, because it's just usually not worth it. So that's my thoughts on directories. Networking. So I used to be a part of BNI, Business Networking International. I was a member for 2 or 3 years. It's quite a good place to go and get to know local other business owners in different categories and build up a bit of a local business network. It does cost quite a lot. It does take quite a lot of time as well, because you have like weekly meetings and stuff. And then to really benefit, you've got to have like one-to-ones with people in the network, build up relationships and stuff like that. But you can get a lot of work out of it, because the whole principle is passing business to each other. So it can be good, but it just depends on how much time and money you've got really available. Lead generation. So ratedpeople.com, mybuilder.com. Have you ever heard about these? When I started Artisan Electrics, I was actually living in Portugal, and I flew back for a week, a month, and I just literally bought some leads on ratedpeople.com last minute, grabbed a few jobs, and it actually worked quite well for me. My builder, similar. The idea is basically that you buy a lead, or you pay a certain amount to get the customer's contact details, but other people also can pay to get the same contact details, up to like 5 people, for example. And then what happens is it's like fastest finger first. Whoever contacts the customer quickest gets the job, or it's whoever quotes the cheapest. So for example, I'll share you this quickly on mybuilder.com. Basically, I had a quick look earlier. I don't use this anymore, but this is the idea, right? Somebody has put a job in 19 hours ago in Cambridge. They want a light fixing in the hallway. You pay £5 plus VAT to express. You express interest, which is free. You pay £5 plus VAT if they shortlist you. And you can see like need ceiling light fixed in hall. They've attached a picture. Okay, so it looks like they've tried to take it down and then got confused. But essentially, like, somebody else has already shown interest and already been shortlisted. So there's no point in me applying for this job, because I've already lost it. They will already have probably gone with whoever has been shortlisted already. So if you get in like instantly as soon as the job comes on, if you've got time to sit around and wait for stuff like that and jump on it straight away, it can be that you'll win the work, but it's not usually going to be the highest quality leads that you're going to be getting. It is just a good way, I would say, to build up a online reputation to start with. If you're starting from zero and you need to get some reviews, you need to just get a few customers over the line so that you can get some reviews and testimonials, then it's a good way to kind of just build up a bit of an online reputation. So that's kind of my thoughts on that. Bark, I've not actually tried, but I think it's similar. Checkatrade. Now it's not lead. You don't pay per lead. You basically sign up to Checkatrade. They do a little bit of a vetting process on you, but it's fairly low intensity, and then they will give you access to leads that come through them. Again, they're generally quite low quality leads. It's often people who are just looking for a cheap job. They're relatively expensive, so you'll probably pay I don't know, like £500 to £1,000 a month to be on Checkatrade, depending on the package that they sign you up for. And unless you get regular reviews, then you'll end up drifting to the bottom of their list anyway, and you'll start to get less reviews. So you need to be constantly getting new reviews to be up at the top of the list, to really benefit from Checkatrade. I was with Checkatrade from when I started the business until like about 9 months ago, and like we basically looked at the leads we were getting from Checkatrade and went, they're not our target customers anymore, so we're just wasting money, so we scrapped it off. But if you're just getting started and you want to get some leads, it can be quite good. They do leaflets as well, where it's like a directory leaflet, so it will have all of the different trades that are with Checkatrade in there, and it'll be delivered out to thousands of households in different areas, and you just pay to secure that area for like 3 leaflet drops or something. That can be a good way to target like older people who don't use the internet, and also you can cover a fairly large area at a fairly low cost. But again, generally we found that often the leads are just quite poor. They either want you immediately or they just want a fairly cheap job. So it depends what you're looking for, really. Next door. So this is like a local services app. I'll show you quickly what it looks like. It is like a basic, like almost like a social network for your neighborhood. And I just literally got this message in this morning from somebody on Nextdoor, which says, "Hello, sir, I need my ceiling lights and dimmer switch for me. Could I get a quote, please?" Again, like it can be good to get a bit of a local reputation and get recommended by neighbors, but often the leads are just like people who just want a cheap job from like a local handyman or DIY kind of sparky person, not necessarily looking for a professional outfit. So it's not something that I've really taken very seriously, because I just think if you're trying to build up a really good professional reputation and appear like a proper company rather than just sort of a handyman guy, one-man band type thing, then it's probably not where you want to be aiming a lot of your efforts. But it can be good to get a few jobs here and there. So yeah, that's kind of all of the lead gen type things. Email campaigns. Now, this is a really good tip for you guys. You need to build up an email list as soon as you gather new customers. So make sure you've got, a database or record on your system somewhere of all of your customers' details, including their email addresses, because it can be super valuable to gain repeat business. So for example, you can drop them out a newsletter once a month, share some of your latest projects, any new services that you might be offering. For example, what we did when the 0% VAT for battery storage systems came in earlier this year, we just sent an email out to all of our customers, and we got a few inquiries in for battery storage off the back of that email. Now, the thing about newsletters is it shouldn't just be an advert for your services. It really needs to be a valuable thing. So like give value. For example, give them tips on stuff like it's time to test your smoke alarms, or other seasonal advice, test your RCD, give them some safety tips. Basically make it worth reading so that you're sharing valuable information. You're not just trying to advertise yourself. And if you give value, generally in marketing, how it works is give value and then the customers will come. So that's what I would say, is just try and give value in whatever you do, and the customers will appreciate that and they'll come back to you when they need something. If you want to automate your mail drops and things, you can use a tool like MailChimp. Just put all the email addresses in there, build the emails content out, and then you can track like how many people opened the email, how many clicked on the link, all of that kind of stuff. So you can see the results that you're getting from your email campaign, which is quite handy. So this is my call to action after discussing all of these things, right? I know it seems like a lot. It's like, whoa, there's so much to do, so many different options. And what I would say is just think about your business. Think about, where is my business at right now? What kind of leads do I want more of right now? Like if somebody phoned me up and said, blah, 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 I want, like, what would be my golden goose customer that would make my day because they'd phoned me today? What does that person look like? What are they asking for? And then just try and target your marketing campaigns to reach those kind of people. And rather than feeling overwhelmed by all of these different options, just choose one and just start. Choose one and start. Get your head around it, master it. If it works for you, do more of it. If it doesn't, try a different one. And of all of these things, this is completely free and so important. Make sure you have a Google My Business page and build up reviews. Building up an online reputation is the absolute #1 thing that you can do right now to gain more credibility and therefore reach more people online. And what it does is it helps customers to know, like, and trust you before they even pick up the phone. So that's the idea. Customers nowadays, they're not stupid. They do research, and they will do research online. And if your company does not look professional online, if you don't exist online yet, they're never going to pick up the phone. But if they find you, they go down the rabbit hole, find lots of great content that you've put out there, then they will know, like, and trust you before they even pick up the phone. And then when they phone you, it's just like, hey, I love what you do. When can you do the work, and how much is it going to cost? And you overcome that whole thing of trying to convince them that they should go with you rather than someone else. So that's the way to get really high quality customers. It's just to build up a fantastic reputation online. So that's it, really. Over to you guys now. Question time. If you can just put your hands up